Welcome back. As promised, we have more wonderful interviews. And today we have a twist. So a lot of our interviews have been agents who are selling hundreds, if not thousands of homes per year. And here we have somebody who's become very successful in a relatively short period of time. And I have a feeling all of you guys will really love her. Her name is Jenifer Watson. So Jenifer, without any further delay, welcome to today's interview.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
And yes, Jenifer is podcasting, videoing live from what looks like her son's bedroom, complete with a picture of a viper.
Yes, this is the best broadcasting room in the house. Our band room, routers on the other side. So yeah, we're hoping for the best. Plenty of distractions to look at if you get bored.
Yeah, exactly. So she lives in a relatively rural part of Colorado, so her internet connection is Starlink. So she has to get right
You know
next.
what? I live in Yakima, Washington.
Oh, sorry.
Is that okay?
Yakima,
Is that okay?
No, I was thinking of, no, my fault. I was thinking of your sponsor, Rick, who lives in Colorado.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yes. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's all good. They're good places. They both have mountains.
Yeah, well, Yakima is very. Let's talk about your market. Tell them about Yakima. Tell them about your market. Tell them about all the things.
So Yakima is an interesting place. We're mainly an agricultural community. The average median income here is 60-ish thousand, which also means our average home sale price is around 300,000. So anything above that, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to sell. They're on the market a little bit longer. Our luxury market begins at 500,000, whereas other places it's generally around 1 million. So you kind of have to hustle a little bit more here, to get your numbers higher. More transactions. So it's more of a quantity than quality. Although you get to meet some really great people. It's a very rewarding career. It has very high highs and very low lows.
Well, let's talk more about Yakima, because we've had a ton of coaching clients that are in, not the major, metros of the country.
Yeah.
And you're right. You said a lot of good stuff there. There are a lot of natural challenges that people who are selling in, Atlanta, or the last person I had on was selling in Virginia and all the rest of it. Those markets that constantly have people relocating, constant stream of buyers and sellers. That's completely different than selling in Yakima, Washington, where the market's more rural.
Yeah.
You don't realize how much harder it is selling in a market like yours, truthfully, because you live in a community where you're selling primarily to the community. Those people aren't trucking into Seattle every day, are they?
No.
Yeah. And so your move ups and your move downs are all going to come just directly from that community. And how many people live there?
Around 80,000.
And what's the employer? And why do people live in Yakima?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. It's mostly agricultural. So we have lots of wineries, apple orchards. So that's basically our industry. I mean, we have one hospital, so we have a little bit of medical. There's not a lot of growth. They won't allow big corporations to come in. They want to keep it that way. So we're kind of stuck in a cycle, a vicious cycle of they don't want to, turn it into industry here. So
if someone wants to buy a house, there are any new construction options?
I mean, there is. We have new construction and it sells pretty quickly. As far as who's buying it, it's generally, our hospital has, it's like a revolving door. We have people leaving as fast as they come, because it's kind of tough here. I find it's generally, doctors, nurses that are coming into Yakima that are buying in the new construction areas, things like that. That's kind of who is taking up that portion of the real estate.
Some of our best coaching clients ever, Jenifer, have been agents that are just like you, that sell in a marketplace where you do have to produce a lot of sales to make really good income, or even a decent income, because you have to be frosty, or you have to be really paying attention at all times. You can't be complacent. not to say that higher sale prices make you complacent, but let's just be honest. If your average commission was 30,000 on up, then you
Yeah,
don't have to sell as many unless you have some ridiculous, overhead and whatnot. So in all
exactly.
reality, yeah, in all reality, if you were to take you with your work ethic and your personality, and we were to drop you into Seattle, you'd be astonished how successful you'd be because you've already developed the appetite for knowing how to work hard. But let's talk about lead generation because you've been in the real estate business for this is your third year,
Yeah.
um, and you sold almost 37 units last year in the last 12 months. So where are your sources of leads? Where's your business come from?
So,
Let them know everything.
yeah, well, I kind of do a variety of things and also like with EXP, I mean, just for people to be encouraged, like my first year with EXP, I iconed like my first
Hold
year.
on. That's amazing. So let me tell them what that means. Okay. That's right. I did know that. That's so impressive. So icon is when you pay your cap, listeners, and after you pay in your cap, if you sell an additional 20 units or have a total GCI of $500,000, then you qualify for icon, which means you get your cap back, $16,000. I'm oversimplifying it, but this is the gist of it, in the form of EXPI stock. So yes, she paid in a cap, but she's also was awarded that $16,000 back. Again, slightly oversimplifying it, but that's the gist of it. And so she is essentially being paid to be an agent at EXP. That's pretty extraordinary.
Yeah, yeah. So and it was just like it's a bad motivator, but my motivator was fear. I was actually in the food service industry before I did this. I fell and I tore my meniscus, and I had to change my career and I had to change it fast. And I needed to pay my bills. And I worked at I always worked at the, finer establishments of dining. I'm more of a free spirit, as you can see. Like, I like music. I like living a life. I like my time. And so for me, being a food server was perfect. I worked like 23 hours a week, made like 50,000 some a year, which is good for here, this area. I was like, hey, I can pay my bills. So I was happy with that. And I didn't have any, other aspirations because I enjoyed life. But once I tore my meniscus, I realized, hey, I never finished my nursing. Plus, I couldn't do it anyway with a torn meniscus. There's really nothing I could do. But real estate that had lots of sitting and just showing houses occasionally. And so I got my real estate license, and fear was my motivator. I learned quickly that you can't count on anything until it closes. I heard someone say, don't attach yourself to the outcome. That's one of the most important pieces of advice. Don't attach yourself to the outcome. I've had signers walk out in the middle of closing day saying that they didn't realize what their payment was going to be. And I show them the text message. No, like I told you, like it was here. You knew. But anyways, so because of that fear, knowing that, I mean, you could have 5, 10 in escrow. You could lose 5 in 1 week. You could lose 3 in one day. And so I always even though I was like piling it up, I kept putting in more because I couldn't count on anything. And the fear of the future is kind of what propelled me to keep going. And I have a son I need to support, and he's not going to go without. And so it was just like, the survival mode is what initially was my motivating factor. Once you get in it, it's really fun as well. I sometimes it's kind of like being at the casino, all wins, all loses, up and down, like one deal can lead to the next. And so it's just so fun, so that's why your highs can be so high, your lows can be so low. But my leads, so when I first started, I don't even have a sphere of influence. I have no sphere. When I was a server, I like still kept to myself. So I had no social circle, even though I'm a server. And so what I first did is I paid for Zillow leads, which was like $2,000 a month. And I only had about, it turns out that about, it was the same for me as like Opcity or Ojo. Have you heard of those?
Of course.
So I've done them all. So I signed up for all of them. I was doing Zillow, I was doing Opsity, I was doing Ojo, I was looking, and then on Zillow calling for sale by owners, following up with them, getting listings that way. I was doing it all. And what it turned out for me in my area is the same, like Ojo, Opsity, they'll charge you generally 35% per closing, which is a lot of money. It's a lot that you lose. However, when I was spending the $2,000 a month on Zillow and the amount of just worthless calls that you have, they actually evened out the same. I was actually, the money I was paying for Zillow and the amount of closings I was doing with Zillow compared to just paying the 35% per transaction, my turnaround was the same. So I now Zillow, I'm down to just $50 a month, just the minimum to keep my face on there. And unfortunately, where I live, the location, my phone isn't the quickest, my internet isn't the quickest. Even though I was paying like $2,000 a month for Zillow, I was, the majority of my leads were land still, because they were letting agents filter through if they wanted to pick up the lead or not. My phone would just ring. I was just accepting whatever came in. I couldn't even filter it because my internet wasn't fast. So for me, I kind of got rid of the Zillow. I'm just down up to the minimum just so my face is there. So I'm a premier agent, because then all my sales are there. So I just keep it just for that. And then I do get occasional deals from Zillow every once in a while, just because, sometimes they come through. But I'm Ojo, Opsity, although this new market, I'm not really getting anything from there either. But when the market was hot, when buyers were like active, but now like this year, I'm predominantly listings. I've been a list agent this year more than a buyer's agent. So all the lead sources are kind of right now.
You just described the typical life cycle of anybody who's been in the business for 15 years or less. And the reason is because in 2007, basically Zillow started selling buyer leads. And then from that, a billion other companies started selling buyer leads. But the quality of the buyer leads, they're really terrible. I mean,
they are.
And I hear that constantly. And so a lot of people have just done exactly what you've done. They just opted out of going after buyer leads. But what's happened, Jenifer, in the last 15 years is there's so many agents have never learned how to be listing agents. They've never learned how to be proactive lead generators. Because the reality of it is you never have to buy up. For someone like me, to hear someone like you buying a buyer lead makes my skin crawl. Because if you take one listing, you'll have, just from having that one listing, you'll have multiple transactions, tons of buyers. So a buyer is the easiest thing in the world to get, a buyer lead. But if you have the skill set and you clearly have the mindset to go after sellers, and you just said it, just focus all your best energies on going on listings, and you'll do incredibly well.
You know what? That is really good advice. And I probably needed to hear that today because, how buyers will keep you so occupied, and then your time and your schedule, you're just like boom, 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 boom. I will say, you know what? That's really good, because I will say because I'm busy and I'm split doing so many things, I don't focus on just one thing. But I do know every time I get a listing appointment, I get it every time.
Jenifer, it's because your personality. That's why, because you have great natural energy and enthusiasm. You learned that from being a server. One of the questions I wrote down for you, but it should be obvious to everyone that's watching or listening, is let me just take a half step back. Maybe you know this, maybe this is new information, but some of the best agents, especially some of the best female agents, have been previously in service type jobs, all the things, right? And because they are used to dealing with customers, and they were used to dealing directly with customers. And so that skill set, that emotional, intuitive bond that you have when you're, working with someone for a very short period of time is unbelievably powerful when it comes to bonding with folks to make them want to work with you as a real estate professional. So we're going to make this into a little mini coaching session. Is that cool?
Yeah. Excellent. How fun.
Okay. Well, we'll see.
From the best coach in America.
Fun for you or fun for me? Let's see.
Fun for me. Well, I don't know. Well, I guess we're going to find out. Okay, go.
We'll find out. So what's the net total number of listings you've ever had at one time? Like the maximum active listings you've ever had?
Probably 8.
Okay, cool. So you can easily see yourself having at least 8 listings. That's not a psychological, okay. So each of those listings, based on the math that you said, are worth probably when they sell around $10,000 each.
Yeah.
Okay, so based on your math last year, let's just assume that if you sold 37 units, and I don't want to talk about how much money you earned unless you do. If you want to talk about how much money you earned, it's up to you. But I mean, the moral of the story is if you're earning $10,000, here's the math, listeners. It's called the real estate magic number. Forgive the slightly cheesy name, but this is really how it works. There is a number or a magic number of listings that you need at all times to meet or exceed your financial goals and obligations. For example, Jenifer, what are your personal monthly bills? Do you know? Hopefully you know.
Like 5, 6,000.
Okay, the blessings of living in a rural community, by the way. Listen, I had
Yeah.
a coaching client whose personal overhead, ready for it, was 127,000 a month.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
All right, so let's say 5 grand. This is very easy. You're gonna love this math.
Yeah.
All right, so 5 units, I'm sorry, $5,000. And your average commission, do you know it off the top of your head?
Yeah, 3. I do 6% listings, 3 on each side.
Right, no, that's your average commission. So if your
Oh,
average
you
sale
mean
price, if your average
oh,
sale price in your market is 300,000, do you want to keep it at 300 or you want to, I mean, what is your average? What's the
yeah,
average sale price?
yeah,
300?
yeah, 3. Well, 350, 350. I mean, all around the board, it's 350, but what sells is 300.
That's fine. So the
Mhm.
average commission, let's say, since you're
But
listing
you
these,
can route it to 300 is easier, right?
yep, exactly. You read my mind. All right, so the average commission is not $9,000. Your monthly overhead is $5,000. Okay. So if you had 8 listings at all times in your market, and I realize it's not like one of these hot metro market where, 10 buyers for every one seller, but if you had 8 listings at all times, realistically, if these are all sellable listings, there's nothing wackadoodle or crazy or unsellable, or, there's not a graveyard or, whatever. Okay, normal, you be in the business long enough, you'll list all kinds of things. But
Yeah.
so you have, if you had 8 listings at all times, how many would sell basically, assuming the price, condition, location was all good, just from basically putting them in the MLS and having them positioned correctly? How many would sell on average every single month? It's not 8, but it's
Yeah, I would say 4.
okay. I
I
was
think
thinking the same thing. That's good. You made my math easy. All right. So if four sold on average per month and you had 8 listings at all times, you'd make $360,000 or $36,000 a month.
Oh, wow.
Okay. $36,000 a month times 12 is over $400,000 a year. You need $5,000 a month to pay your bills. So, and I don't want to talk you out of having 8 listings, but I want to make this really simple. If you had 5 listings at all times, that becomes your total sole mission in your real estate business. You're only focusing on getting to and maintaining 5 listings at all times. That's it. That's your prime. What are you doing today, Jenifer? I'm going to get 5 listings at all times, 5 active listings, right? You have baked into each of those listings $9,000 in commission. If you had 2 sell per month, you're making $18,000 a month, which is more than enough for you to pay for all your bills, your taxes, pay off any debt, have a wonderful life, just off half of those selling per month. Your whole mission in life is then to replace the 2 that sell every single month. When you wake up in the morning, it's I have to have 5 listings at active all times. And your dry erase board, you're going to say listings and you're going to number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I personally, if I were you, because you can do it, I would do 1 through 10. Okay. And every single day, all of your psychological energy, all your mindset, all your focus goes to making sure there's always an active listing assigned to the number on your dry erase board. All the other things that you might be spending time on, buying buyer leads is the worst, but all the other things, maybe set those aside and focus on. So let's take this to the next level. Jenifer, if you had to take 10 listings in the next 60 days, and I hand you a check for $1 million and that 1996 Viper on the wall so you can give that to your son. Okay?
Yeah.
So it is. All right. It's a GTS, by the way. So if I give you the Viper and I give you the money, okay, and I give that to you within 90 days, but you have to take, I'll make it easier. You have to take 5 listings and you're starting from 0. You have no active listings. How would you do it?
How would I
Let me
those
reframe my
listings?
question. What would you stop doing?
You know what? I think just from talking to you today, I think I'm gonna like get rid of my buyer leads.
Well,
Like,
we'll talk about that in a
but
second.
okay,
Okay?
so, well, how would I get my listings?
No. What would you stop doing if your whole mission in life in the next 60 days,
I would get rid of all my buyer leads. That's
you
what I
get
would,
rid of buyer leads that didn't hit certain criteria for you to work
because
with them? And I'll help you with that in a second.
they all waste my time. It's just time wasting. They do.
We'll talk about buyers in a second. And yet,
Well, the type that come off the internet, like the
are
type that come off
garbage
the
leads.
internet. Yes.
They're the
Yes.
least motivated. They're the least motivated
Yep.
buyers.
Yep.
Here's the essence why. Okay, there's no such thing as a buyer that has to buy. So there isn't. They always can rent, change their mind, stay put, decide to blah blah blah. There's no such thing, listeners, viewers, as a buyer that has to buy. But there are plenty of examples of a seller that has to sell. Financial reasons. They have relocated. They can't afford two homes at once. They inherited the house and they live someplace across the country. They don't want two houses. Tax reasons, all kinds of reasons why sellers have to sell. No reason ever a buyer has to buy. Lots of reasons why a seller has to sell. One is motivated if you pre-qualify them. Another is never going to be as motivated. The buyers are never going to be as motivated as the sellers. So if you have a limited amount of time and a limited amount of energy every day, which all of you have, focus all your best energies on becoming a powerful listing agent. Make sense so far?
That's really good.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so you said you'd stop working with the unmotivated, unqualified buyers, and that's where you'd find your time to decide to focus on sellers. Okay, we're going to hover there. Next, what are you going to do? How are you going to go about finding those sellers? What are you going to do?
So, you know what worked really well for me is like the for sale by owners.
Okay, good. And expireds and notice of defaults, if there are any, which there probably aren't, and all the other things. And by the way, I don't know if you knew this, but because you're part of our revenue share group, you have our coaching program for free, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But can I tell you something?
It better be good.
I don't delete them. I have them all saved for when I have time. I've only got to watch you guys a few times because
that's our podcast, Jenifer.
I'm talking about the podcast. Oh, really? What?
Yeah, you have free access because you're part of a revenue share group.
Coaching
So I want you to write this down, okay?
Okay.
Okay. I know you're in because I checked. Okay. So you have free access, and I want you to direct message one of our coaches named Ziggy.
Ziggy?
Okay? Ziggy, Ziggy.
Okay.
Ziggy will be, without a doubt, one of the most important relationships you're going to have in real estate. I promise you. And she's one of our coaches.
Awesome.
Because this same conversation Julie and I had with Ziggy probably 5 years ago, and now she is a phenomenal prospector, and FSBOs are her thing. And she's such a delightful woman. You're going to love her. Okay.
Oh, cool. All right.
Okay. But here's your recipe. Okay. You know what you'd stop doing. You'd stop working with unmotivated, unqualified buyers. All right. So let's go through your buyers. You ready?
Okay.
How many buyers are you working with right now?
Right now? Oh my gosh. How active buyers or buyers?
They're all bad, but how many? How many buyers? How many
so,
people that are occupying your mental and emotional space that you've got labeled as a buyer?
There's probably at least about 5.
Okay, that's not terrible. That's not terrible. Okay, how many of those? Let me ask you some questions. How many of those buyers have houses to sell before they actually can transact with you?
Like 2.
You're guessing.
Yeah. Well, because it's a complicated situation because the ones they do and they don't. They could actually do a HELOC and
right. Okay, that's good. Okay, but
so they're that's why I'm thinking about. I mean, it's just up to them. I mean, so really 2 that would that have homes that they do need to sell, but they don't really need to sell. They could do a HELOC. Does that make sense?
Sure it does, but you realize the HELOC, they're going to have the first, if they have an existing, do they have existing? Okay, so let's take of this buyers you think you have 2 people that have houses to sell, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, how many of the 2 people, do they have mortgages, or are they the houses?
No, they own their homes outright.
Okay.
0 mortgage.
What's causing them to want to move to your community?
They're down, they want to be in a more central area of town. They're in the outskirts. Like one's downsizing. They want to just come closer. They're getting older. And then the other one, they need to upgrade. So one's going down, one's going up.
Okay. I understand. And they're local. Okay. And the houses, we can talk about the listings later, but So the essence of these buyers is that they have 100%, hypothetically, they're going to be paying 100% cash for their next house. They just don't. So ask them if they would, you need to ask them straight up if whether or not they consider borrowing against their existing houses to buy their next ones. Obviously, decide if they will or won't. But here's the other angle you can take. You could put their homes for sale and make it contingent on the seller finding suitable housing and put a window there. Or you can put them in contract on something and give them a long close. Or you can put them in contract on one of the builders that's going to take 6 months to build, which gives you 6 months to sell their house. So what you need to do is you need to get in there and sit, and these are all part of our scripts you get as part of our coaching program. So Jenifer, this is you're the buyer, okay? So Jenifer, just so that I'm clear, if I were to show you a house that meets all your needs, great price, great location, everything is almost exactly, no such thing as perfect, but what you're looking for in a house on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you rate your motivation to buy that house today?
Mm-hmm.
Answer the question. You're the buyer.
I would buy it.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what they always say. They always say a 7. Like occasionally the really good ones will say a 10, but they almost always say a 7. So here's what you're going to say. And you ask those buyers, you'll see that they'll say 7 or 8. Okay, 7 or 8, congratulations, that's great. So what would it take to get you to a 10? Then they're going to tell you what's standing in their way, what they're actually thinking. Do you understand?
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
These particular buyers said, as soon as I find them the right one, they're ready to buy now.
But you told me they have to sell their present home before they can buy.
Right. And that's why I always present the 2 options. And I told them exactly what you said. I told them that we could, list their home, saying, based on them finding contingent on them finding another home, but they're so picky. That's why they want to do it.
So write these rules down. These are your rules for working with buyers. Okay.
Okay.
Number 1, if they have homes to sell, the house has to be listed with you.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a reload buyer, which you won't deal with much, but if it is, then the house has to be listed to an agent you referred it to. Okay. House has to be for sale unless they have cash to pay for a house, which frankly, a lot of people do, even without the sale of their current one. Number 2, if they're going to take a mortgage, which I'm just saying this for the sake of the people watching or listening, they have to be completely approved with the only subject to the verification of the appraisal of the house. So if they have to get a mortgage, the mortgage has to reflect the lender's done all the credit checks, all the employment verifications, all the down payment verifications, blah, blah, blah. This cannot be a wishy-washy, typical lazy Larry lender letter, right? It has to actually say, Bill and Betty are completely approved, and the only subject to would be subject to the appraisal of the home that they're purchasing. That's it. If they're not willing to go through that phase, if they're willing to pay cash, you don't have to go through that phase. Or maybe they don't want to pay cash. Maybe they want to get a mortgage. It's up to them. Ask them. Number 2 is they have to be working, or 3, maybe 4, they have to be working exclusively with you. Not just your state required agency form, but they have to sign an exclusive buyer agency contract to work only with you. Because here's the problem. I doubt if you're going to have this much of a challenge in rural communities, but you will often have buyers that will, without knowing it, they'll two-time you. They'll work with other buyer or other agents in other parts of town.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, that you're causing that. They're not lying to you. You're causing that by not making them sign exclusive or asking them into signing exclusive buyer agency contracts. And by the way, we'll show you how to do that as part of the Premier Coaching Program, which you get for free because you're part of our group. Okay. Okay. But that's it. So you need to have, and then the last thing, and you said this, is they have to have realistic expectations of what's available in the market. People like to say champagne tastes on a beer budget, whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if they have unrealistic expectations, and they're overly picky, that's not a very motivated person. And those buyers you're describing aren't very motivated because they already have houses that are paid for.
Yeah,
now,
that's true.
Your downsizer, is it a 2-story?
No, it's still a single level. Mm-hmm.
Okay, what's motivating them? The downsizer.
Yakima. So they live in Terrace Heights, and that's like the outskirts of Yakima. It's to the east. They want to be like the highest desired area here is West Valley. Okay. And they want to be closer to doctor appointments, West Valley. So not only do they want to downsize, but they want to just relocate to a more central location as well. So
Okay,
it's like
so
people,
I want you to think about what you just said. Want to, want to, want to. They want to move here because of this. They want to move here. They don't have to.
right?
I'm not telling you to ditch that lead. I'm just saying, understand the difference. And here, you'll make this own point. Describe to me the motivation of your last seller. Why'd they sell?
Hold on, I'm thinking right now. What
You've had so many.
okay. He's going through a divorce and needs money.
Have to sell. Divorce.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Think of another one. With the very few exceptions, every single seller you've ever had success selling, Jenifer, has had to sell. It wasn't a want to.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you need to get really good at pre-qualifying that.
Need and want. The difference between need and want. Okay. Got
Yeah.
it.
I mean,
Yeah.
when you were a server, if someone wasn't hungry, you weren't going to talk them into buying food that they didn't want, right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, those people needed food, you
No,
know.
that's good. No, I do need to manage my time better. I do. I like right now, well, I normally work about 15 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Well, that's crazy. It's because you're working with unmotivated people. You got to start
Yeah, I
valuing
need
your
to
time more.
thank you. I don't have any real coaches. There's not even like yeah, anyways. Yeah, so I just
You do
this
now.
thanks. I've just kind of rolled on my own and have figured it out. Kind of
Well,
got
look what you've done. 37 units the last
yeah,
12 months.
yeah.
So think about what you're going to do with some direction. Think about what you're going to do.
I
If you,
know.
dude, crazy.
That would be amazing.
Not, no, it's going to be amazing. Listen to your words. Not would be, will be.
Yeah. Aw, thank you. You just like helped me today. Just getting some because I don't have like our area as well. EXP in this area, we don't have any managing brokers in this town. We don't have anyone to look up to. Like there's like we all of us as agents kind of try to help ourselves. I just log into World every time I run into a problem. Like we don't really have there's no like leaders here. And so it's pretty amazing that I am so successful. It's just me being a
Well, it's you,
self-motivated
but
and
I'm going to say this again for all the listeners, okay? It's your energy and enthusiasm. And you also said something before, and I'm going to go back to this, even if this is slightly painful. Is that okay?
yeah, it's okay.
Okay, Jenifer, do you think are you more motivated by moving towards the accomplishment of a goal or moving away from pain? You already know the answer,
Um,
lady.
I would say towards a goal.
That's uh, really
Yeah, now, but before, yeah, away from pain. Yeah.
okay. So your superpower, and by the way, everyone thinks they're more motivated by the carrot or the stick. But in my entire life, I've met maybe 3 people that are truly motivated. Now, when you become wealthy and when you become all these things, then your motivations change. But for 99% of everyone, they're always motivated. You said by fear, but it's
Yeah.
moving away from pain.
Fear was my
Okay.
motivator. Yeah.
Now, here's the reason that's important to understand. Like I'm still motivated by, avoidance of pain. That still motivates me because I'm just a poor kid from Central Ohio that did good over, 3 decades because I didn't want to be a poor kid anymore. Right.
Yeah.
Never let that go, but you'll learn how to balance it so you can turn it off and on, but always use that energy, the fear of being broke,
Mhm.
all the fear things, use that because that's going to give you a shot of adrenaline that normal people won't have, or
It's
not, they'll avoid it.
it's your fuel, but I will tell you something as well. Like, so the first brokerage I was with them for about 6 months. And when I just talked to them about EXP, my managing broker said to me, enjoy 100%. There's the door and enjoy 100% of making nothing. And
Well,
that's,
it's
and that,
obviously
and then I iconed because I like if someone says something to me like that, watch out because I'm going to show you. I'm going to prove something different. And I was like, you know what? I'll make EXP great here. I'll do it. And so I take the pain and I take it as fuel. And yeah, I get knocked down. But every time I stand up stronger. And, one day I hope to be, where you're unshakable when you can't be knocked down. But every time I always have to try to find the positive. I just never give up. And like, even just my story, I would just say, if I had to like give it a title, I would say, from adversity to administration. Like I would have never known that like tearing my meniscus, which like mortified my mind because I used to exercise every day. Like I mean, I had an atrophied leg. It was like 2 inches smaller than my other one. Like all the pain and hell I went through that catapulted me into like a successful real estate agent. I guess I'm in the top 5% of Yakima. We have about 600 agents. That was the last I heard because I have people trying to recruit me all the time. But I would have never imagined that something so terrible would have ended up being one of the best things in my life.
So here's the challenge you're going to have. Okay, you've been successful. You are successful. You're already one of the top dogs in Yakima. Okay, that's actually a problem. That's one of the worst things that could actually happen to you. Can I tell you why?
Okay, yeah.
Because you're a big fish in a small pond after only 3 years, and your likelihood of becoming complacent because you're a big fish in a small pond is very high. So my prescription for you to defeat that is go to real estate events, go to EXP events, and go to Seattle. Go meet people who are selling a lot of homes very profitably. Don't just latch on to people who are selling a lot of units because they'll just tell you to buy leads. Focus on people that are building. In our coaching group, you talk with Ziggy, you talk with a lot of our other coaching clients. We have thousands of coaching clients. You're going to run into lots of people who are very similar to you. And as far as like, the reality of it is people do business with you. They don't do business with a broker. I mean, legally they do, but they're doing business because of Jenifer Watson, not because of ABC, Realty. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so the challenge that, like, Julie and I are from Columbus, Ohio, which is not as small as Yakima, Washington, but I'll never forget, Jenifer, the first time Julie and I left and we actually drove around the country. And this was like after we were in the business for maybe a year. We drove around the country and we paid these top producing agents. It was called shadowing. This was before coaching. And we spent a day with them. It was like $2,500, $3,500. I mean, it was a lot of money. But we did that because we wanted to breathe their air. We wanted to see their systems. We wanted to learn about what they were doing. And so you don't need to do that because you've got coaching. But getting out of Yakima, getting into areas where you're going to be around more people that think like you, because there are a lot of people that think like you, will motivate you like you can't possibly believe. In the meantime, listen to podcasts and read biographies. Do things that are going to motivate you. Start attaching yourself to the thoughts and the energies of the people that you want to become like, even if they're from the historical. Like Julie and I listen to biographies all the time of, people that have been maybe, Cicero, people have been dead for thousands of years. But that will be where you start reinforcing the person that you're meant to be, which is truly a spectacular person, not just a real estate agent. That is your destiny if you choose to basically pursue it. And don't allow yourself to think the 36 units in Yakima is your end all be all, because it's not.
Oh, thank you.
But do you know what I just said is true? Am I telling you something that you didn't already internally? Does that?
I think no, I think that's good. I think that's good advice. I think that's really good advice. I know. I think that's good to be inspired by other people. What I hope to do is, like, for instance, like I'm a hustler. I get stuff done. But I'm so busy working in my business, I don't get to work on my business. Like I've spent all my time serving people. I don't have time to like collect reviews. I don't, there's a lot of things I would like to do to fine tune.
Can I help you with this? Jenifer,
Yeah.
you sold 36 houses and were disorganized. Nothing was right. No reviews, no this is and the other things. You still sold almost 40 units. Okay.
Yeah.
So what you've discovered, and please don't forget this lesson, is that you will, at this point forward, always be successful because you've got hustle. What we need to do now is make it so you can actually start having more of a life and not have to give away all your life energy to people that are unqualified, unmotivated, that will never transact with you. Because in your choosing to give that energy away from them, they're not taking it from you. When you don't pre-qualify somebody and you allow any looky-loo into your life, you're making the choice to give your energy away for free. You're making the choice to give your time away from your son and all the music and other things you guys like for free. Your choice. You need to be valuing your time more, pre-qualify people at a higher level, and be super picky who you work with. But ultimately, your freedom comes from having a certain number of listings at all times. I would
That's
suggest
good.
10 because you're up for the challenge, and that's in your entire life. So I'm going to tell you about a coaching client named Chuck Williamson, and he's in a small town in North Carolina called Tracy, which you've never heard of before. I've heard of Yakima because they make bike racks and stuff, don't they?
Oh yeah,
Isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. So you never heard of Tracy. No. He's in Wilson, North Carolina. Sorry. All right. So Chuck is in his early 40s. Um, he sounds like when you listen to him talk, he sounds like a country singer. He's the large, I think at EXP, as far as individual agents, he's number 1, 2, or 3, and he's in a tiny community similar to you. And I had to show him how to use Facebook. Okay.
Oh,
And all he doesn't do any social media. He doesn't do any direct mail. He doesn't work on his brand. He doesn't do all these things that agents are told to do and spend billions of dollars per year doing. What he does is exactly what I suggested you do. He was a podcast listener, then he became a coaching client, then he joined us at EXP. He figured out that he needed, I think his number was 15 listings at all times. Then the next natural thought is how you can get 15 listings. FISBOs, expireds, all the things we teach you in the coaching program. He built up to 15 listings at all times. In his whole life, that's the hard part because you got to build the momentum. You got to climb the mountain. Now you're at 15. Some of them are going to be selling along the way and the rest of it. But your whole job becomes replacing those that sell. And you can get to the point when those buyers show up in your life, because they will, because if, for every one listing, you're going to generate dozens of buyer leads. You can refer those buyer leads off to other agents in Yakima. It's just straight up buyer lead for 35%. You can start making the referral fees. By the way, that's another great way for you to attract people to you at EXP for your revenue share. You can start referring off those buyer leads that come from your listings, and you can start saying, well, I'll give you this referral, but let's talk about you joining with me at EXP. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's good.
Does that not feel simpler than worrying about all these other things?
Yeah, no, that I needed to hear that today. Thank you so much.
Well, my
Like for
pleasure.
real. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, get attached to the coaching program, which you get for free. Okay. Shame
Awesome.
on your sponsor for not telling you. I will say
You
that.
know what? I will say he probably did. He probably told, but like I said, I'm so busy helping everyone else. I'm like last on my list.
Yeah. Well, that's, what do you think
So
about that? What do you think about that? Being last on your list?
I know like this year I have decided that I need to add myself back into my day. And I need to make some changes. And so, but I'm sure, even EXP, the EXP world, like there's so much content. There's so much I could learn and I would love to soak up. But like I said, I'm just so busy in it that I did,
But
you know,
you're not as busy. You're not as busy in it if you really are picky who the buyers you work with. You
I
run those
know
certified
that's
filters,
good advice.
and if you build a listings-based business, then you're not busy in it. Then you get your nights and weekends back. Seller, so it's something Julie thought of, right? So buyers, are physical energy. They're working physically in the business, giving away all your nights and weekends because you're going to have to work when they're not working. Sellers are mental labor, physical labor versus mental labor, right?
That's
You're
true.
you're so used to doing the physical labor, it's become normal for you. Your
Mhm.
whole, being a server, that was nothing but physical labor and a lot of charm, right?
Yeah. Got
Okay.
paid to work out.
Well, but seriously, but that's your mindset. Work equals
Mhm.
money. Labor
Yeah.
equals money. But
Yeah.
with listings, you have leverage. With listings, if you have 5 listings at all times or 10 listings at all times, Jenifer, that's 10 listings that are active in your marketplace, and all the other agents in Yakima are trying to sell it for you. You've got leverage. You're now the restaurant owner.
That's good. Yeah, I like that.
So I have a question for you, okay?
Okay.
So you come visit Julie and I here in Puerto Rico in 12 months, and we're sitting on the beach together, okay?
Okay.
And we're remembering this, okay? We're maybe playing this on our phones or whatever. And I'm asking you this question, and I want you to write these things down. Never forget this. Don't
Okay.
worry, it's not that big of a question.
Don't. Okay.
In 12 months,
Mhm.
what are the things when we're celebrating in 12 months, your best year ever? What are the 5 things? It could be only 3, it's up to you, that you want to be looking back and be beyond proud of yourself for having accomplished, and they have to be specific. Don't say working on myself. I need to know what that means. So what are the 5 things? If you don't have them off the top of your head, this is going to be your takeaway. Okay. You got to think about this.
Okay.
Like you said, you used to work out a lot. Are you doing that again?
Yeah. Hmm.
Good. Okay, so what would be something, I'm just working on that, for example. What would be a thing under the physical? So when goal setting, there's financial, there's physical, there's educational, mental, and family. I think I got those right. Uh,
Yeah.
so under the physical, a year from now, what is it that we want to be celebrating you having accomplished?
That I got back into my old routine.
Okay, so define that. That's not honestly,
My
that's not
older kid, so yeah, so I'm, getting back into taking my supplements again,
good.
exercising daily, because
Write these down. Write these down. Okay, so you have to
they're
write
like
it down.
they're ingrained in me. I know this.
And
The
so you aren't doing
supplements.
it. And so the fact that it's ingrained in you, how does it feel not doing what you know internally that you're supposed to be doing? How,
Well,
how does
I
that feel?
just this year I've been doing this now. I'm
Good.
doing it. I'm getting her done, and I'm taking an hour. I'm taking an hour every night, spending with my son, whether it's watching
No, no,
TV.
no. Don't bounce off physical
Family.
yet because we have to finish that for the sake of you, but also the listeners. Okay.
Okay.
So for example, you have to work out every day, right?
Yes.
Okay. What is that? Do you do the same routine every day?
Part of it, yes, and part of it I rotate.
Okay. So you do maybe a cardio type thing and a weights thing and rotate back and forth.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so here's what I want you to do. Take a calendar, not now, homework. Take a calendar, and I want you to count how many, 12 months out, there's, 4 weeks in each month. Are you working out every single day, or are you taking the weekends off?
I work out every single day. I take a day off every once in a while, but usually every day.
Okay, so however many days,
Mhm.
maybe some you're going to be traveling, maybe some days, some other things. Just decide now how many days you're going to be working out for the next 12 months. Okay. Write
Okay.
that number down. And
Okay.
then you need to keep tally of that. And then you need to decide what specifically you're going to be doing. Like the easy button, and I know you can't do this in Yakima, at least I assume you can't, would be going to like Orange Theory, 5 days of the week or 7 days of the week, right? Something that's going to happen routine, that's going to be at a scheduled time, things like that. But a goal is a dream with an action plan. So you have a goal of working out every day. You have a goal of taking your supplements every day, but now you need the action plan. Everybody sets goals. Nobody creates the action plan. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. You said the next thing you said is family. You said spending time with my son every day. So define what that, ask him first whether he wants to be spending that much time with his mom.
Yeah. Well, he does.
I have a 10-year-old,
Yeah.
so.
No, well, yeah, no, when I get text messages, Mom, I miss you.
Oh, that's nice.
Spend time with me. Can you work in my room?
How old is he?
He's 16. He
Oh my
just turned
gosh.
16. And
I
he
would,
got, guess what he got for his birthday he got a Beamer for his first car for his birthday.
oh, very nice. You're such a
You
good
know,
mama.
and I was so shocked because I thought he would want like a little sporty, car and da 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 da. But he wanted a sophisticated Beamer. But he's a straight A student, honor roll. I mean, he cleans his own room. I mean, I have an amazing son. I homeschooled him
That's
up
right.
until me being a realtor, and that's also why I worked in evenings. I homeschooled him the days. So yeah,
That's good. Well,
but
you
he
know what's
loves
good?
me. I'm happy.
But it's good he's going to school so he, at 16, because those would be some great relationships that he's going to be able to take into the
Oh
rest of his
yeah.
life.
Oh
Yes,
yeah,
that's really good.
he's loving it. So he's been in school for 3 years. Ever since I've been a realtor, now he's been in school. So
Yeah, well, that's
he's doing
great. Well,
great.
so you define with him what the goal would be, but I'm gonna maybe expand your thinking a little bit and help you take it to the
Okay.
next level. Where
Okay.
would be a place that you and your son would love to go on vacation between now and the next 12 months?
Ooh, I'd have to ask. I want to go to Hawaii. But I'd ask him. I'd have to see where he would want to go.
You're pretty persuasive. I bet you talk him into Hawaii.
Maybe we'll see. We'll see.
Maybe he'll talk you into going to Bavaria. That's where BMWs were made.
Oh, really?
Yeah. All right.
Uh,
So,
I can tell you he'll win. He will win.
well, so let's think about this. So you talk with him, and
Mhm.
maybe it's one big trip, or maybe it's a series of smaller trips. You decide, because now we're going to combine financial, and we're going to combine financial, and we're going to combine family. Remember goals, 5 categories, right?
Okay.
So you guys just would you love, first of all, I shouldn't be presuming, would you love to take some trips with your son?
Yes.
Okay, like a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being off the charts crazy, I'd love to do it. It's a dream, and one
Like
you can care less.
10. Yeah, we haven't done anything.
Okay, so ask him, and you and him decide where you want to go on, and make a list. And then
Okay.
I'll suggest to you that you guys start knocking those out, and you can start using that as a really strong motivation for yourself. Now, is that a moving towards the accomplishment or moving away from pain? It's moving away from pain because the disappointing your son because you guys were planning on going to Hawaii and not being able to pay for it and not being able to make the trip will be way more painful than the actual, accomplishment
Yeah.
of the you watch. You see how
Yeah.
you're manipulating
Yeah.
yourself?
Yeah.
What do you
I'm
think?
good
What
at
do you think?
manipulating myself. I'm just, I'm thinking about that, and I'm thinking about the moving from pain to the motivation, and how I told you kind of it's a blend. Because I'll tell you something else funny about me. Like I'm like a servant heart attitude. Like I would rather be the one bringing you the drink than receiving the drink. I like to give. I just that way. And the funny thing is, as being a real estate agent, how it started off, just fear based and running away from pain, as you say. But then after I started getting good at it, then I started getting competitive, and I started like tracking like other top agents, and then I'd go on Zillow and see their sales compared to mine, and all of a sudden I got competitive, and that's never been my nature ever. Like I went on beast mode, and I'm like, if I did that, I was like, there's certain agents I just wanted to surpass, and I've never been like that in my life. I'm like, what's happening to
Do
me?
you like it? Is that working for you?
It was fun, but I wanted to, but I would rather not be in that. I would rather not be competing. I would rather just be the best version of myself. So like, because I was like, what's happening to me? Because I've never been caught up in like keeping up with the Joneses before, because I'm usually so spiritual, like so spiritual, that I'm not even like comparing or competing in the world. I'm like in my own cloud. And so, but real estate, like I came down, with my feet running, but so kind of just going through all those modes and feelings and emotions and success and all those things, and then but then scaling it back, like, you know what, I just want to be me, and then I want to enjoy my life again, my son, have, just like all the good things that you're saying, like rather than getting caught up in competition and with other people and trying to be better than them, just be the best version of myself. And so,
So let me help you connect some dots.
okay.
Hopefully. Okay, so the reason you're working with so many unqualified buyers and you're working 12 to 15 hours a year is because your ego, and ego is an obtuse, it's a made up concept by Freud, but let's just use the word because everyone seems to know what it is. Your ego and your desire to compete is causing you to move away from your spiritual nature. And you're right. That is something that you shouldn't allow to manifest because it will ruin your potential. Because what you'll start doing is you'll start doing anything just to get the numbers, just so you can beat your competitors,
Yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what a lot of people do. And I'm going to get some hate for saying this, but a lot of teams, that's the reason that the agents, they want the glory. They want to peacock around talking about their big numbers and their big teams and all the rest of it, but they're making virtually no profit.
Mm-hmm.
I go back to Chuck. Chuck makes over, $1 million per year with like one assistant in a
Wow.
market where his average sale price, by the way, is virtually the same as yours.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Okay. So you can do this. You can really, but again, expose yourself to bigger thinking. But you'll attach to all this in our coaching program when you join, and obviously all this will be reinforced. But at the end of the day, here's your homework. Ready?
Okay.
So I asked you, and we don't have to do this now, but what are the 5 things that you're going to be most proud of having accomplished in 12 months? And you have to, Jenifer, don't just write down just amoebas things. Don't just say, I want to become more spiritual. Okay, what does that mean? I want to go to church every Sunday. I want to meditate once a day. I want to read the Bible. I want to define what it means. And then the last part of it is you have to do it around a schedule. So for example, I want to go on 3 trips in the next, 12 months with my son. Okay. We're going to choose together what they're going to be. I need you to go and schedule those things out, write them down when they're going to be, figure out how much they're going to cost you. And you're not flying Yak Air and living in some, staying in some crap hotel. Do it so that it's a memory that lasts forever. Okay. You're going to spend some money. It's going to make you uncomfortable. Be okay with that. And then okay. So the next 90 days, you're going to Hawaii. Hawaii is going to cost you 15 grand. You don't have 15 grand. You probably do. I'm just saying. You
Yeah.
can't use savings you've already got. Go and figure out how to earn the money. Get what I'm saying? Now
Mhm.
you're finding some motivation. Now
Mhm.
you're going to write on the date, Hawaii, and then put some deposits down on the trip. Actually financially commit, emotionally commit to going on that trip. And just the very thought of doing what I said, how do you feel?
Good.
Is
I
it
feel,
motivational?
yeah. Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? It's
That,
because what you're doing is now you're being back in alignment with being who you are, being the highest version of yourself, but you're also spending more time with your son, having these life
yeah.
experiences that are really good with you, and it gives more meaning to the work. And you're going to
True.
start being really careful who you spend time with.
That's good. You know what? You are a very amazing person.
I
You
appreciate
are.
that.
You are. You're I'm just very blessed and thankful that we've got to have this talk, and like that might seem little to you, but just like what you said about focusing my attentions to listings, that's maybe silly to people. That I think that was life changing, and I
So
needed
you're
to hear that today.
you just said two crappy things about yourself that
Why?
you're belittling yourself. You did. You got to listen to
Why?
what you're saying.
What
You're
do you
feeding
mean?
yourself belittling. You're talking down. You're
How?
speaking.
What did I say?
You said it might. You said basically you were inferring that your thoughts and your. Sorry for interrupting you. I'm just
Okay,
wanting
no,
you to
no,
really
fine,
start
fine.
listening to the messaging you're giving yourself,
Okay.
because you future pace things like that would be great versus that will be great, and then you're starting to what you were starting to say was that other people listening to what you took away from our time together today was somehow like less than what normal people would think. And it's the exact opposite. The epiphany you had in your willingness to be coached and your willingness to open your mind is going to be so inspiring to so many people you can't even imagine it. You're being humble. You're obviously got great energy and enthusiasm. And I'm going to share this with you too. You already know it, but I'm going to reinforce it. The highest and truest purpose of everyone on this planet is to be of service to others. Julie and I's alignment is to be of service to real estate professionals. We made that commitment 20 years ago. We would put our own self-interest aside in our real estate coaching business to be of service to our coaching clients. And that's one of the reasons we aligned with EXP too. You already know that. And your highest and truest purpose professionally is to be of service to your clients. That thing is not innate in everyone. A majority of people don't think about being of service to other people. They only think about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Your energy and the reason that you're attracting people to you, the reason that people want to do business with you is because you radiate that feeling. Now, if you backstop that with skills, with the drive you have, with the nature that you have, I promise you, lady, you're going to be unbelievably successful.
Oh, thank you.
It's true. I'm not just giving you a compliment. It's absolutely true. You just got to, write down what are the 5 things I want to be really proud of myself for having accomplished in 12 months, and then create action plans. Talk with Ziggy about it. Talk with Rochelle about it.
Okay.
Talk with Brandon about it. Talk with me about it. We have 13 coaches that will help you. And then absolutely lock those things in. Now you have a life plan. Now you're not going to be bouncing everywhere. Now you're not going to be worried about emails from some, BS person trying to sell you some lead, right? You can start
Yeah.
saying, I've got my plan, right?
Awesome. Yeah.
You're going to be like a laser guided missile.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, well, I see like the potential I have. I know that I know that there's something I'm missing. I know there's something that I'm missing just because I haven't, and it's probably just the coaching. That's probably what it is. Because it's like I'm running, I'm operating, but I know I can be so much better. I just know it. So
That's awesome. And you will be. And I'm excited to be part of your life.
thank
And thank
you.
you for being part of our EXP group. And thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you for this time. What an honor. How cool. Thank you so
Very
much.
sweet of
I just
you.
appreciate you and everything you do for others. And you're an amazing person. You really are. So
I sincerely
what
appreciate
an
it.
honor. Thank you.
I'm going to resend your invitation for you to get into Libertas because that's how you get free access to Premier Coaching.
Okay. Okay, please. Thank you. I'm gonna do it. I need it.
All right. So all the rest of you, there's thousands of you that are in our EXP revenue share group. If you're not taking advantage of Premier Coaching, like Jenifer, please, it's free. Get attached. We want you to be successful selling real estate. We're partners in your real estate business because you're part of our EXP family. Get involved. And if you want free access to Premier Coaching, and you're ready to make a broker upgrade, EXP is the next natural step for all of you. In the meantime, Jenifer, please have that conversation with your son. Start with the travel plans. That'll really excite both of you.
All right, awesome. Sounds great. Thank you so much for your time. Cool. I appreciate it.
God bless. Have a great weekend.
Hey, you too. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.